This week, I want to talk to you about something personal and something that has everything to do with how you lead when life hits you. 12 days ago, it was a normal Monday. I was having my monthly lunch with my sister, something we started about a year ago to be intentional with each other. We live 4 miles apart, but life fills up fast, and this is our way of slowing down. We talk about work, about leadership, about family, about the ordinary things two people in the second half of their 50s talk about when they like each other and make time to stay connected, especially a brother and a sister. We hugged, we said, I love you, and we went back to work. The next morning at 10:23 a.m., I was sitting at my desk when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my brother-in-law. Headed to the hospital. Your sister had a seizure at work. She's in an ambulance on the way to the ER. More when I know it. She's had health challenges, but she has never had a seizure. I stared at the screen. She was fine yesterday. I didn't text back. I just sat there, trying to make sense of what I was reading. The updates came fast after that. 10:49 a.m. She's alert and talking while waiting for vitals. Okay, good news. 1:02. She's just got back from the MRI. Okay. 2:29. MRI found a mass on her brain. We'll be here through tonight, waiting to talk to the surgeon. Oh boy. 3:47 p.m. Could be cancer, need more tests. Later, we got a picture from my sister smiling, holding her grandson sitting in a hospital room. She looked happy. She looked normal, as if nothing had happened. She had friends in the room visiting her. Everything looked fine except for the gown and the hospital bracelet. The next morning brought another MRI, then more waiting. At 3:15 p.m., I walked into her room to see her, and the surgeon was already there. It's cancer. She's being referred to another hospital in a city 4 hours away to a surgeon who is world-renowned in his field. Whew. Then, almost as an aside, we can transfer you tonight or in the morning if that's okay. Let me put this timeline another way. At 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, everything was normal. At 10 a.m., she had her first seizure. By 1 p.m., there was a mass on her brain. By Wednesday afternoon, it was confirmed cancer. By 1:30 a.m. Thursday, she was in another city, arriving by an ambulance. 5 days later, she was rolled into brain surgery. What? We stayed composed, but our heads were spinning, trying to keep up with the speed and severity of news coming in waves that didn't pause long enough for us to catch our breath. Here's what I kept coming back to, though, through all of it. Life doesn't schedule its crises around your capacity. It just shows up. Usually in the middle of an ordinary day. Usually when you're already committed. And usually when you're already carrying more than anyone can see. The world doesn't slow down when news like this hits. Work doesn't stop. Responsibilities don't step aside. And people don't suddenly stop needing you. So what do? You do what you've always done. You keep showing up. You answer the emails, you take the calls, you make the decisions that can't wait. And somewhere in the middle of it, you realize you're carrying two loads at the same time. One is visible. Leadership, work, commitments, obligations. The other is quiet. Fear, uncertainty, love, concern, and 1,000 unanswered questions running just below the surface. That's the collision. Not drama, not chaos, not anything else. Just weight. The kind of weight that doesn't announce itself but slowly presses in, testing what's actually holding you up. And here's what this last week revealed to me, something I've learned and relearned over the years, but haven't seen this clearly in a long time. Resilience isn't something you turn on in a crisis. It's something you build long before one shows up. Because when life accelerates the way it did for us, when news stacks up faster than you can process it, you don't have time to invent new coping mechanisms. You lean on what's already there. And if it's not there, then you're screwed. Looking back on this week, I can see exactly what I was leaning on. And it comes down to three things. It comes down to your inner foundation, your inner circle, and your margins. Most people never think about these until a storm hits. This week reminded me why you have to build them long before one does. So let me tell you specifically where my strength came from, because I think it matters for you too. The first is your inner foundation. My daily time in prayer, sitting quietly with Jesus, bringing what I have and what I don't, is not a spiritual accessory for me. It's foundational. Without that relationship, without that daily grounding, I know I would be far weaker, not just emotionally, but in my ability to carry uncertainty without spiraling. There's something stabilizing about returning again and again to a place where you're reminded that you're not carrying everything alone, even when the outcome is unknown. That mattered more than I could fully put into words this week. But it wasn't just faith. Right behind that foundation is the people in my life who hold me up. And the second is your inner circle. It showed up in layers. My wife is right at the top of that list. As I've written before, I invest intentionally in my relationship with her. And this week reminded me why. She leans on me. I lean on her. And there is something profoundly steady about not having to face a storm like this alone. I wouldn't have wanted to walk through the last 10 days without her, without the shared concern, the shared processing, the shared quiet moments where no words were needed. My daughter is right there as well. We do life together, and the peace I have in that relationship, the confidence I have in who she is, creates more stability in my life than I often realize until a moment like this. That's resilience too. Having fewer places you're worried about so you can focus on the issues that need your attention. And then beyond my marriage and my daughter, there's what I'd call our inner circle too. And I don't think we talk enough about how much that matters. My closest male friends, the couples Catherine and I walk closely with, the women who strengthen and encourage my wife. Even though Catherine and I are very close and work together on top of everything else, she draws strength from her closest friends in ways that ultimately strengthen our marriage. These relationships matter more than we can imagine, sometimes more than we like to admit. They're safe, they're honest, they're built on trust, and that's been earned over time. I can talk, and they listen. They speak truth without drama, they hold space without trying to fix, and they pray. Not just with us, but for us, even when we're not around. There's something deeply encouraging about knowing people are speaking well of you behind your back. There's something even more powerful knowing they're talking to God about you, asking Him to show up, to help, to bring peace and strength where it's needed. That kind of support changes how heavy a week like this feels. Now, here is the less visible side of resilience. This one connects directly to how you run your business. These are your margins: financial margin, savings, budgeting, flexibility, time margin, space to respond instead of react, structural margins, like systems that don't collapse when attention is divided. Those things don't make the situation easier, but they make it survivable without unnecessary damage, and that matters more than most realize. Until they need it. Many of you watching this are business owners and leaders. This all translates directly to running your company. It turns out that in our book, Fulfilled, the passion and provision strategy for building a business with profit, purpose, and legacy, we talked about how you have to lower your sails when you're in a storm or you risk breaking the mast. Think about that for a second. A sailor doesn't wait for the storm to learn how to handle his sails. He practices in calm water so that when the winds hit, the response is already built in. Having margins in place is like being prepared for those huge storms, and it lets you survive when the big winds start to blow. Like your sister facing a fight for her life. There's one more thing I want to share. Something I genuinely didn't expect from a week like this. Cancer in your family has a strange side effect. You may have experienced this. People ask you how you're doing, and when you answer honestly, not dramatically, just truthfully, something surprising happens. Stories come out. People begin sharing experiences they rarely talk about. Moments they've carried quietly, journeys they've never had spaces to name. And there's encouragement in that in both sides. In just the last 24 hours, I had two men share their stories about their moms having brain cancer. One of them had the same surgeon my sister had. Imagine that. That kind of connection is powerful. Shared stories do something you can feel. They steady you, they strengthen your countenance, they remind you that you're not alone on a path you didn't choose. And I want to be honest with you about where we are right now, because this isn't a tidy story with a bow on it. We're still in the middle of it. There are unknowns ahead. There's a medical journey unfolding in real time. There are questions without answers yet. And I won't pretend otherwise, but I will say this. Weeks like this reveal what actually sustains you. They show you where your life is strong and where it needs attention. And they remind you that leadership isn't just about what you can produce, but about what you can carry without breaking. If this story resonates with you, if you're facing uncertainty of your own, my encouragement is simple. Don't wait for the storm to start building resilience. Invest in your inner foundation, strengthen your inner circle, and build your margins before you need them. Because life won't schedule its crises around your capacity. But you can grow your capacity on purpose before the next wave hits. If any part of this resonated with you, even a single sentence, would you drop it in the comments below? I would genuinely love to hear it. And if you know someone who's in the middle of a storm right now, share this with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is let them know they're not alone. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing. God bless.